Good evening and welcome, viewers. Controversy is raging around the Supreme Court once again. So much controversy around the country's highest court all the time is not good. And most unfortunately, all this controversy happens every time on the eve of every election, especially the general elections. And the Supreme Court of India is willy-nilly dragged into political issues, and that's not good either. It's very bad. I've always maintained that it is wrong to use the Supreme Court rooms to fight political battles. But it happens all the time. And now it's getting very intense, the political controversies around the Supreme Court. 600 lawyers saying that there is a concerted attempt to surround the Supreme Court with pressure tactics. Pressurize the courts, to smear the courts. And with all of this happening, with the hashtag Supreme Court controversy, we must address this burning issue. What are these political parties fighting about? If the fight is over money and access to money, if the fight is over whether some parties are getting more money and others are getting less money, and the fight is over whether you got more money, I got more money, you got these many crores, I got these many crores, ladies and gentlemen, fight it out in the public arena. Why make the Supreme Court the center over a fight over money? What is this fight about, really? Is it about whether the PMLA Act should be used against scam kingpins? Then why drag the courts into it? Were other people like Naresh Trehan or Jet Airways or Wadhwans of DHFL who are accused of grave misdeeds themselves not held under the same laws? Which political parties were they contributing to? Let's not imagine that all these fights are happening in a vacuum. They are not technical fights. They're in the real and political world. And these fights should not extend to the Supreme Court premises. The courts have said, of course the courts will say that their shoulders are broad enough to absorb any kind of criticism or pressure tactics. But can the courts themselves deny that such tactics are being made? Can the courts not see that it is the same people using the same tactics, getting the support of the same sections of the media, and operating in those very same echo chambers every time there is a general election? What's going on? What's going on? Political fights in the middle of the Supreme Court. Attempts to drag the Supreme Court in the middle of all this. So amidst this latest Supreme Court controversy, hashtag Supreme Court controversy, my question is very elementary. Has the country's highest court become the arena of the pre-election battle of 2024? Is that what we want, viewers? Will this institution also see all the politicians using it to fight each other? Come on, fight an election. Don't fight proxy battles in the Supreme Court of India. Debate number 1 tonight, 600 lawyers allege pressure on the Supreme Court. Prime Minister calls out the attempt to browbeat the courts. That's debate number 1. Huge hashtag Supreme Court controversy. Debate number 2 tonight. The United States of America is backing the AAP and Congress openly. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we should also start openly talking about what's happening to Trump. Debate number 2 tonight. Debate number 3. Posh casteism. Posh and reverse casteism in one of India's most expensive campuses. What an irony. Debate number 3. And here are the headlines this Thursday evening on the Debate Tonight. As 600 lawyers talk about the pressure on the Supreme Court, the Prime Minister calls out the attempt to browbeat and bully. Meanwhile, big setback for Kejriwal as the Delhi court extend custody by 4 more days in connection with Liquorgate. The United States of America tries to lecture India, calls for transparent processes on Kejriwal's arrest, and also backs the Congress party's fight on the account freeze issue. Open casteism on the Ashoka University campus as the students resort to posh casteism. Raise anti-Brahmin, anti-Baniya slogans on the campus. After a 14-year break, Govinda is back in politics. And Mohua Maitra, confronted by Republic Bangla as she avoids the Enforcement Directorate summons. Ladies and gentlemen, first, hashtag Supreme Court controversy. Truly, this is being discussed for the last few days. It's become obvious. Overtones, undertones, discussions, media reports, comments, fights. And now you have, in the middle of this raging hashtag Supreme Court controversy, 600 eminent jurists writing to the Chief Justice of India expressing their deepest concern over what they call vested interest groups trying to put pressure on the judiciary. The Prime Minister also had to weigh in today amidst the hashtag Supreme Court controversy. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a serious matter. Let's debate.
Aspersions on the Supreme Court, one of the most revered institutions.
They have not simply got rid of Article 370. They have dismembered the state of Jammu and Kashmir by mischievously misinterpreting both Article 3 of the Constitution and Article 370 of the Constitution.
हम इस जजमेंट से सेटिस्फाइड नहीं हैं। मेरा मानना ये है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट सुप्रीम ज़रूर है मगर इनफेलेबल नहीं है। हम अपने एक लीगल हक के लिए लड़ रहे थे। हमको किसी से खैरात की ज़रूरत नहीं है 5 एकड़ ज़मीन की।
600 eminent lawyers have now written to the Chief Justice over the issue.
हमारे जैसे वकील हम डिफर कर सकते हैं व्यूज के, जुडिशरी के जो जजमेंट को हम कह सकते हैं कि ये ठीक नहीं किया, परंतु हम उनके कार्य करने के और उनको ये सर्टिफिकेट देने के एंटाइटल नहीं है कि अच्छा कर रहे हैं या गंदा कर रहे हैं। रिलीफ दे दिया तो बहुत अच्छा है, नहीं मिला तो गलत है। हमारी जुडिशरी कानून के अंतर्गत काम करती है।
With even the Prime Minister weighing in on the issue. Not just the government, some even in the opposition backed the move.
It's very alarming and very disturbing to read this story because India is a free country. Our forefathers have fought the British to get freedom into this country, and if in the most important out of the 4 pillars, our judiciary is one of the most critical pillars of our freedom movement. And if that a lot of lawyers feel is compromised, it's extraordinarily alarming and worrisome.
Is there an attempt to selectively undermine the judiciary? Let's debate.
First of all, I would like to begin by saying that this is a very serious matter. Nobody even likes to use a hashtag like this. I mean, Supreme Court in controversy, controversy around Supreme Court, hashtag Supreme Court controversy, but it's become a fact. After this letter, and then the Prime Minister being forced to weigh in on the situation, and the Prime Minister also saying that there's an attempt to browbeat. This is not good. It's not good, Abhishek.
I don't see why you have to retweet it though. I mean, by
why you don't see why the Prime Minister had to retweet?
If he's retweeted it, he's made it a out and out political battle. Because he is endorsing what the 500 lawyers, 600 lawyers are saying.
What is wrong in what the lawyers have said?
And one of the signatories is Harish Salve, who's argued the electoral bonds case.
No, what is wrong in what the lawyers have said?
So is the Prime Minister criticizing the electoral bonds judgment? Which he has also done at a rally, mind you. He has said that they will start saying Sudama was also corrupt because all I'm doing is asking for donations. Now, you have somebody who was Solicitor General under the BJP, Harish Salve, who is a signatory to this letter. This is a full-on assault on the Supreme Court, Mr.
May I now come in with my view? you know, you are taking outrage at the fact that the Prime Minister has retweeted it. The Prime Minister is also a citizen of the country and holds the highest post in government. He has every right to have a view. And if the Prime Minister feels also there is an attempt to browbeat the judiciary, he's coming out in defense of the judiciary. Now, having said that, please, I have seen many podcasts of late. It's become the trend nowadays, Sanju, you know, podcast. PMLA is bad, remove PMLA, application of PMLA, courts are not giving relief, courts are not doing their duty, courts are failing the people of the country, Supreme Court is not listening to us. For God's sake, was it the same PMLA under which Naresh Goyal and Rana Kapoor have been put in jail?
Who's saying
have
that?
it been?
It's a
Was it?
draconian
No, 1
legislation.
minute, please. Abhishek,
It's
1
a
minute.
draconian piece of
Abhishek, 1 minute.
legislation.
Abhishek, 1 minute. 1 minute. Listen,
courts are doing their
I am
job.
not going to ask. I am not going to ask who Naresh Goyal and Rana Kapoor were giving money to. I am not going to ask that question. But I will ask. Podcast to malign? You malign?
Who?
You malign the judiciary? Oh, judiciary is not giving us relief. Is the judiciary bound to give you relief? And if you don't get relief, this campaign starts.
But this
Oh,
letter,
the credibility
who's
of
written
the
the
courts.
letter?
Oh, the credibility. Allow me to complete my point tonight,
This
please.
letter has been
Allow me to
drafted by the
complete my
PMO.
Oh, the court's
The PMO
credibility.
has drafted
Oh,
this
the court.
letter.
Oh, the court's credibility is being affected.
The PMO has drafted
1 minute.
this letter.
1 minute.
I have not done-
One minute.
Sanju, has Prime Minister Modi drafted this letter?
Outrageous.
Has the Prime Minister drafted this letter?
outrageous,
That's my question.
outrageous,
Why is he tweeting it?
outrageous.
Why is he endorsing it?
Outrageous. He agrees with it.
He is not an ordinary
He's agreeing
citizen.
with it. He's 1 minute.
He is the head of the executive leading an assault on the judiciary.
What is happening is very
He is the
bad.
head of the executive wing of the government
Can you stop
leading an
shouting?
assault on the judiciary, which is also a wing of the government.
You see, I'll say one thing before I come to you. What is happening here, viewers, is these lawyers get a lot of money. And they get so much money. They get so much money that the clients expect them to win. And then these lawyers who get a lot of money go to the courts, charge a lot of money.
He's saying money.
Money. And after having charged a lot of money, go lose the case. So they are losing their credibility with their own clients, because the clients say, we're giving you a lot of money and you're losing the case.
Show me the money.
So you're losing the case.
Show me the money.
You
That's my
say,
question.
1 minute. 1 minute. Why make a serious point? You are losing credibility with your clients and you're blaming the credibility of the courts.
Who is they? Harish
They.
Salve is blaming the court.
I am not. I am saying here tonight the lobby, which is losing cases despite getting a lot of money. And they can't win the case. Therefore, they want to question the courts. And that is what is happening. Sanju is on the debate. Abhishek, you had an uninterrupted and unfortunate run for the last 7 minutes. Sanju, he says the Prime Minister should not have endorsed the letter.
You know, Arnab, I think ever since Prime Minister Modi has taken charge at the helm of affairs in 2014, immediately within a year, we saw in 2015 the unfortunate Akhlaq lynching case. And then you had this award Wapsi gang, led from the forefront by the likes of Nayantara Sehgal, Uday Prakash, Javed Akhtar, Shabana Azmi, Shabnam Hashmi, Mangesh Dabral, so on and so forth. Now, what I want to tell you is, more importantly, your audience, is that ever since 2014, what has been the narrative that has been peddled by the other side? And when I say the other side, I don't just mean the Congress, the TMC, the DMK or political parties, but I also mean an entire cabal, an entire ecosystem of YouTubers, which is the famous epithet given by Arnab Goswami, and what Prime Minister Modi called the perennial Khan market pessimists. Look at it. The moment Supreme Court doubted the credibility of the Chandigarh election result and said what Anil Masih had done was wrong, nobody from the BJP came forward, and I've been on a zillion debates. None of us said, we doubt the validity of the Supreme Court. Why did Supreme Court castigate Anil Masih in no uncertain terms? But when the same Supreme Court refuses to give relief to a Sanjay Singh, a Manish Sisodia, or a Satinder Jain, or an Arvind Kejriwal, the entire lobby is up in arms. They even doubt the bona fides of CJI Chandrachud. I remember a couple of years back, there was this famous demonetization judgment. Demonetization has had, people from both ends of the spectrum, people who think it was a great disruptive, measure, and some who feel that it failed. Now, be that as it may, Justice B.R. Gawai said that the Modi government, when it came to demonetization, it was a very well-intentioned move which largely achieved its objectives. The entire lobby came hard on B.R. Gawai, doubting B.R. Gawai's credibility. Then
Answer,
very
why did the
recently,
Prime
I
Minister
have been.
retweet the letter? Why is the
Okay,
Prime
yeah,
Minister
I'm coming to
attacking
that.
Chief Justice Chandrachud on Twitter?
Or no,
Can you
I
answer
don't
that?
want to shout with Abhishek because I
Oh
think
God,
he's
can you
sitting
get
in the
it? Get
studio.
there quickly, please.
He's sitting in the studio and he's howling. Abhishek, I did not heckle you. Let me finish, then you can rebut. I just have this to say. This is
Can
the
you please
same
answer
lobby.
the question,
This
man?
is you are not somebody who I am accountable to. It is Arnab Goswami who's the anchor. You are not the anchor. Abhishek, please don't hallucinate. Thank you.
I am not allowed you to interrupt, so please let me
Yeah.
put me
Can
on
I
air,
just
please.
finish in
Otherwise, you
30
get tempted to
seconds?
interrupt. Continue,
Yeah.
please.
Can I just
Yeah,
finish in
gave you the
30
introductory round. I want to get everyone in, please. Thank you.
This is the same lobby. This is the same lobby which never raised even a squeak when Arnab Goswami was arrested. But this is the same lobby, the same Lutyens gang, the same Awad Wapsi gang, the same Hathras gang, which when Siddharth Vardarajan ke khilaf the BJP said in the fake tech fog story, we are going to investigate you, the Editors Guild, it went berserk. This is the same lobby which will raise its voice against Kathua, and rightfully so, but will not speak a word against Sandesh Khali. This is the same lobby which will speak about
So
some
you want to answer the question,
guys
huh?
wearing
Will you
a
answer
saffron
why the Prime
bandana,
Minister retweeted
but
it
they
or
will
not?
not talk about
Abhishek,
Shahjahan Sheikh.
Abhishek.
This is the same lobby which will say that some guys wearing a saffron bandana chanting Jai Shri Ram, that is weaponization of Jai Shri Ram, but they don't have the guts or the gall or the audacity to question Shahjahan Sheikh. They will continue to mollycoddle him. And this is the same lobby which will question Abhijit Ganguly joining the BJP after resigning from the Calcutta High Court, but they will not talk about an Abhay Thipse who did not even spend 1 month as cooling off period, and immediately after retiring from Bombay High Court,
A
he
sitting
joined
judge
the
joins
Congress
you the
with
next
great
day, we're not
fanfare.
supposed to question.
And this is the same
A
lobby.
sitting High
This is
Court
the
judge joins
same
your party, you're not
lobby
supposed to question.
Can I get
which
everyone
was
on, please?
saying
Thank you.
Sab changa si when Narendra Modi was hounded for 20
I would like to quote the following people.
20-year imprisonment sentence.
I would like to make the following quote. Why Adish?
You have to mention this, Arnab. There was an entire lobby which said that Sanjeev Bhatt was wrongfully incarcerated. Today, the court has clearly said that in the narcotics case, Sanjeev Bhatt is due for a 20-year imprisonment sentence. And I think the lobby must be burning. The lobby must be rattled. कि संजीव भट्ट और पोस्टर बॉय who implicated Narendra Modi, इसको कैसे कोर्ट से रियायत नहीं मिली?
Calcutta High Court as candidates.
Okay, 1 minute. Now, can both of you pull back, please? Point being made, Adish Agarwal, who is with me on the program today. Your video went viral recently when you were pulled up by the Chief Justice of India. That video went viral. You were pulled up by the Chief Justice of India. And now you write a letter saying that the Supreme Court is under pressure. You are the President of the International Council of Jurists London, Chairman of the All India Bar Association and President of the Supreme Court Bar Association. Sir, why are you writing this letter to the Chief Justice? Because Mr. Agarwal, it is very embarrassing. The Chief Justice himself said, my shoulders are broad enough. I can manage the pressure. We can manage the pressure. Are you embarrassing the Chief Justice of India by writing this letter to him? Is this a fallout of the electoral bonds case?
First of all, no. I welcome the decision of the Honorable Supreme Court on electoral reform. And, no voice nahi aa rahi. Hello. And I also, but only on the point of procedure, and that was actually not the mistake committed by the Honorable Supreme Court. It was the mistake committed by the advocate on record of the petitioner, Mr. Prashant Bhushan. Because as per law, we are having the advocate on record in Supreme Court. They are supposed to pass the examination and they should tell the procedure to the court, because judges are coming from different high courts. They were not practicing as an advocate on record. So I pointed out that lacuna was there, and actually I was not pulled down by Honorable CJ. He was very calm. He just pointed out, as Adish Agarwala has written a letter, I was empowered to do so, but court found that it is too late because already orders have been passed. It is so whatever we have to obey the direction decision of the Honorable Court. We should not protest like what Principal tried to do.
But whatever, should
When
these
he
matters
could not
become
get
public
the bail
matters?
order
The question being,
from the Supreme Court.
let me say, Mr. Agarwal, you see, both things are bad.
Yeah.
Attempts to,
No.
both things are bad, I feel. First attempt, I believe that of late, in the last 2-3 years, 1.5, 2 years particularly, as the opposition has become weaker, there is an attempt to make the Supreme Court feel or give an impression that the Supreme Court is the opposition of the country. There is an attempt to say, you are the guiding star, you are the light, you are the hope, you are the beacon, you are the road, you are everything. There is no opposition, only you can save us from the Narendra Modi government. There is this feeling. I'm being very clear about it. And that is bad. That is bad for anyone, and for such flattery to be directed at anyone, including the Supreme Court, is, I believe, not good for any institution, especially the judiciary. I think it's dangerous.
Yes.
And the second point being, over-criticism is also bad. Supreme Court is terrible. Supreme Court is bad. Kapil Sibal saying there is no hope in the left in the institution of the judiciary. Kapil Sibal, after all these years of practice, good or bad, he may have lost a lot of cases, but to go and say, if you think that you will get relief from the Supreme Court, you are largely, usually mistaken. I don't know, Mr. Sibal, why, how can you talk like this? I got relief from the Supreme Court, and I got it despite you. Because you lost the case, are you frustrated at that? Will you say that tomorrow, that we should not expect justice from the Supreme Court? What kind of precedent is being set out here? Prashant Bhushan says, when historians in the future look back at the last 6 years to see how democracy has been destroyed, they will mark the role of the Supreme Court, and in this destruction, particularly the role of the last 4 CGIs. Why? Why? Because of the Ayodhya verdict? Why? Because of the Judge Loya verdict? Why? Because the court did not give an interim stay in the implementation of the CAA? Why? Because the court supported the abrogation of Article 370? Why? Because the court took a pro-India stance in the aftermath of the Republic Day violence? Why? Because the court said, don't come crying to us with your political matters. These matters are not in the judicial realm. It's terrible what's going on. Both, both. It's terrible. I mean, imagine today this letter in the middle of this raging controversy right now. We should keep the courts free of any controversy, Pankaj. And today there will be controversy. You know, Justice Chandrachud in the middle of the controversy, letters being written, somebody is pressurizing you, somebody is not pressurizing you, do this, don't do this. I mean, what's going on, Pankaj? Fight these matters in the... I've never seen a time where this acidic environment is created and we pull the Supreme Court in the middle of all this. Why, Pankaj?
Yeah.
Who gains?
Yes,
Who
it
gains,
is so
Pankaj?
astonishing.
You guys can't win an election, so you want to fight elections within the Supreme Court premises.
See, it is so astonishing that one of the highest paid senior counsels with enormous global repute is probably a descendant of Shalivahanan dynasty desperately needs to assemble 600 odd indescribable lawyers to make a superfluous noise about an imaginary vested interest group, which according to him, trying to put pressure on judiciary. In reality, everyone is aware about men who are leaving no stone unturned for past many years to misuse all the available investigative as well as judicial forums. And we all know it. And much more stunning is the fact that the Prime Minister of the largest democracy jumps into this within a few hours, not only to only endorse the baseless views expressed in the letter, but when one step ahead and exploited the occasion to purposely attack the main opposition party. What did he say? He said in his tweet that browbeat and bully others is vintage Congress culture. Really? Isn't it actually the other way around?
Yes.
Ask anyone, and she will tell you how deep the roots of crudeness, of intimidation and rowdiness have gone in past 1 decade. Prime Minister is not right. when
Your
he says
Congress
that
party
5
even
decades ago
doubted
Congress had
the
called for a
surgical
committed
strike of
judiciary.
2016.
Indira Gandhi never ever called for a committed judiciary.
Your Rahul Gandhi
When in
continuously says
Keshwanand
"Teen ki
Bharti
sena
case,
ghus kar
the Supreme
andar
Court
aa gayi
ruled
aur
that
hamari sena ki
Parliament's
pitai ho
right
gayi."
to amend the Constitution
Which
didn't
leader
include the right
doubts
to
the
tamper with
bona
its
fides
necessary
of his
structure.
own army,
Indira
of his
Gandhi
own armed
appointed
forces,
Justin
and you're sitting
A.
here
Ray
and saying,
as
"अरे
Chief
लोकतंत्र
Justice
खतरे
in
में है, डेमोक्रेसी खतरे
1973.
में है,
At time, her
संविधान
government
खतरे
was
में है."
accused of trying to establish a committed judiciary by the opposition, the then opposition. But Indira Gandhi never ever
We
called
are
for
Krishna Iyer in the CPM.
any committed judiciary. The letter
He
by
was a
these
High Court judge.
600
He was a
lawyers say
Supreme
a
Court
vested
judge. That
interest
was
group
committed judiciary.
trying to put
Arun
pressure on
Misra
the judiciary
was
and
given a
defame
Rajya Sabha
court on the
membership.
basis of frivolous
And he became
logic
a High Court
and
judge and a Supreme Court judge
stale
under the
political
Congress
agendas.
dispensation. That is a classic example of committed judiciary.
Are
FI
you calling
Rebello of the
electoral
Janata
bonds
Party
a state
had all
issue?
cases against
Are
Amit
you
Shah.
saying
That is a
Manipur
classic
is a
case of
dead
committed
issue?
judiciary.
It should not be discussed. Do you want to say autonomy of constitutional institutions is a musty issue and should not be
He
raised?
was the
Are
judge
you
of
saying
Gujarat High
protection
Court.
of the
That is
dignity
called
of
a
the
committed
elected
judiciary.
representatives is a stereotype issue and should have no place in our public
Congress has
discourse?
used the
Our
judicial
worst
system
health of our economy,
for
use joblessness,
self-gratification for the
hungry
longest
level
time.
price rise,
So you
all
don't
these
have
stupid
any
issues
moral high ground
which should
to
not
sit
raise.
here
What
and
is
lecture
the state
Narendra
issue?
Modi or Amit Shah or the BJP. If you have the
Ji,
guts,
it is not a
first
false
condemn
narrative
Darul
that
Islam.
there is a.
If you have the guts,
It
condemn
is not a
Justice
false narrative
Aftab
that
Alam.
there was a
If you
golden
have the
period
guts,
of our
condemn
courts,
Zia
which is
Krishna
fast
Iyer.
diminishing.
If you have the guts,
The fact
condemn
that
Hasnain
any
Masoodi.
comments
These
made
are
by
all judges
by
who were
very
affiliated to
important
either the Congress
functionaries
or the
of this
CPM or
current
the then
ruling
Janata Party.
dispensation were
And
aimed
they
at
gave one
influencing
judgment
courts
after
and
another
I think that-
against
them for
the
political
BJP, but the
gains
BJP
in
I think that-
years.
victim card. इसलिए victim
Certainly,
card खेलना
I think
appreciating the
that
atmosphere of trust and harmony.
I mean, you people have been attacking the Supreme Court for the longest time, attacking them right, left, and center on everything. And if somebody writes a letter to the Supreme Court, if Adish Agarwal writes a letter saying, Honorable Chief Justice of India, the judiciary is under threat, it is put under political and professional pressure, and we are all very concerned about political agendas running out in the court, I am sure the Chief Justice, Honorable Chief Justice, is more than aware of it, that there are interest groups that are operating. And I'm sure that he will deal with it. But he will not deny that they don't exist. If I had a chance to interview him, that is the first question I would ask him.
No,
And I'm sure he would not deny that they don't exist. But the fact is, he said, I can handle it. My question is, my question is, 1 minute, Abhishek. First of all, I'm very concerned about the attack on Mr. Salve. I'm phenomenally fond of him, of course. But I also want us to understand that when Harish Salve signs a letter, it carries a tremendous amount of weight. Mr. Mitra, you know, we are talking about Harish Salve. And Harish Salve is the person who took 1 rupee, right, when the International Court of Justice passed the verdict that Kulbhushan Jadhav should get consular access. Harish Salve appeared for the Gujarat riot victims and represented Bilkis Bano as well. Harish Salve is the person who represented a law student in the famous freedom of speech and expression case where draconian section 66A, right, of the Information Technology Act was struck down. We are talking about a living legend. Harish Salve said no to representing Italy in court. He stepped down from representing Italy in the Italian Marines case when the government of Italy did not return 2 Marines to India. This is a man of principle. He has represented India in the UK High Court. He has represented India in the ICJ. No, what I'm saying is, I condemn the petty attack by Prashant Bhushan on Harish Salve in a personal manner just because Prashant Bhushan may not have the acumen right now to question him. I want to say in court during the hearing in the Judge Lawyer case. Do we not know? He said if that is true, we might as well wind up the judiciary. 4 district level judges and 2 high court judges stated they were present when Judge Loya was murdered, or when he was passed away. Is it being suggested they are conspirators to the murder? I mean, these are the words of Harish Salve. We must understand. This is terrible. And this is going to become big because Harish Salve has signed it.
Those who have signed the letter have ideological bias.
You may.
Prashant Bhushan has an ideological bias. Harish Salve has an ideological bias.
I'm sorry.
He was Solicitor General appointed by the BJP. He has taken a pro-BJP line for the past several years.
What is
Yes.
a
How many times has
Of
Abhishek
course it is.
Singh
What
You are
is
saying
condemned
he has
Prashant
appeared
Bhushan,
for them in the
condemned the
electoral
likes of
bond.
Rajiv
Are Kapil
Bhatt,
Sibal is
condemned
from
the
the
likes of
Congress,
Indira
Manu Singh is
Jaising,
from the Congress.
who were knocking on
Sanju
the
is
doors
on the
of the
debate.
Supreme Court at
Sanju
2
is on the
a.m. in the
debate.
morning,
Sanju
saying that
is on
Yaqub
the
Memon should not be
debate.
given capital
There is
punishment.
pressure. There are issues.
Those who have signed the letter have a clear ideological bias. They're all with the ruling party. There's no doubt about it. Pinky Anand is with the ruling party. All these lawyers are with the ruling party. What is wrong? If you are saying that Manu Singh and Sibal are with the Congress, these lawyers are with the
stands in
BJP.
solidarity with the judiciary and says
This
that
is
the
a
judiciary
politically
should not be
motivated
browbeaten.
letter which the Prime Minister
And what is wrong
tweets
if
in
Prime
the middle of an
Minister
election.
Narendra Modi retweeted
The
that?
model code of conduct
Prime
is in
Minister
place
Narendra
and the
Modi
executive is
also
attacking
has
the
freedom of
judiciary on
expression.
Twitter.
Freedom
You
of
are
expression
attacking the
सिर्फ
judiciary
आपका
on
और मेरा
Twitter.
नहीं है प्रधानमंत्री
You
के
are
पास
putting
से
pressure
अंडर
on the
आर्टिकल
judiciary.
19 of the
Are you
Constitution
scared that Arvind
अभिव्यक्ति
Kejriwal will
की
get
आजादी
bail?
है.
Are you
Why
scared
should
Arvind
BJP
Kejriwal
be
will get
scared?
bail from the Supreme Court?
Who the
Is
hell
that why
are
you're
you,
trying to
man?
pressure the Supreme
You
Court?
come every
Is that why the
evening.
Prime Minister is trying to pressure the
Nobody
Supreme
knows
Court?
who you
By
are.
saying,
I
don't
don't
give
think you
Kejriwal
practice
bail,
law.
don't give
You're
Hemant
doing
Soren
it,
bail, don't give
judiciously.
K. Kavita bail,
You change
don't give
parties
Manish
every
Singh
3
bail,
months.
don't give
Hर 3
Sanjay
महीने के
Singh
बाद
bail,
you are
keep
with a
more
new
political
party.
prisoners
So
in
you're the
jail.
last person who
Is
should
that
be
what it
talking
is?
about ideology. You're the last person who
Answer
should be
the
talking about
question.
morality. You're the last person who
Answer
should
the
be
question.
talking
Why is he
about
tweeting this
political
letter
ethics.
in the middle of an election?
अगले 3 महीने के
Why
बाद
is the
कौन सी पार्टी
executive
में आने वाले
undermining
हो
the
पहले ये
judiciary
बताइए.
on Twitter of all
आपकी
places?
ideology
Okay,
क्या
let me
है?
ask you one question then. Since you're talking about committed judiciaries, I have to intervene with a point tonight. Just 1 minute. Don't I say don't make me open my mouth.
Indira Gandhi created the vice
Don't talk
president
about
judiciary,
Indira Gandhi.
and so will our current
Okay,
leader.
let me ask you, your viewers, people talk. 1 minute, Sanju. 1 minute, Hitesh, I will have to open my mouth now. I said don't make me open my mouth, but I will. If people are talking about Indira Gandhi, then I would like to know whether Indira Gandhi... 1 minute, Sanju, I'm making a point. People are talking about Indira Gandhi and committed judiciaries. I would like to know whether Indira Gandhi entrusted her personal property work in Allahabad to a judge immediately after his elevation to the Supreme
Resurrecting
Court.
the ghost of Indira Gandhi serves no purpose.
Secondly, 1 minute, just 1 minute, please, don't get overexcited. Second is supersession of 3 judges, Justice Shelat, Justice Hegde, Justice Grover, by Indira Gandhi.
Yes.
Right? Was that done to
And she
make
lost
the
power.
to
She
make the
paid the
judicial?
price for it.
Well, Justice Ray led the bench which suspended fundamental rights Article 14, 21 and 22 during the emergency. Please understand. And you're talking about ideological biases. Will you say tomorrow that Abhishek Manu Singhvi has an ideological bias before the law? Will you say that Kapil Sibal has an ideological bias before the law?
He's a
Will you say
congressman.
that Prashant Bhushan has an ideological
Of course
bias
he
before
does.
the law? That's absolute rubbish.
don't say
Even I
Harun
wouldn't
Salman
say
doesn't.
it. Even
Don't
I
say
wouldn't
the
have
people
said
who
it.
signed this
And
letter don't have a
now viewers, where does this go, Hitesh? Hitesh and Rohan come into the debate. Already the Supreme Court. Hitesh, why did you have to write this letter?
These are all
The question is,
pro-BJP
can I
laws.
just request Hitesh to come in?
Pro-BJP.
Yeah, sure. I want to ask Hitesh, why did you have to write this letter? Why bring the Supreme Court in the middle of such a huge controversy at this time? Why bring the Supreme Court into this controversy?
Arnab, in the
Hitesh.
past 2 months, systematic and deliberate campaign that has been going on to tarnish the reputation of the judgment of the judges of the Supreme Court, the institution itself. If you would have noticed, just last week, there is the judges were reminded about the golden period, or the legacy argument was made that if a judgment is not given in a particular manner, then their legacy will be at the stake. What is this legacy at the stake? Just to merely give the judgments what this cabal wants to be given, so that the Supreme Court can give the judgment that is in favor of them. I mean, you file wrong proceedings in the Supreme Court. When you are reminded that you should go to the trial court, you keep reminding the Supreme Court about the legacy. Second, a systematic campaign is being run on the social media where you are trying to compare the judiciary with the courts in Pakistan and China. This is like
who's doing this? Who's doing this? No, you cannot just say a cabal and then
the
make
interview
these,
was clearly
allegations.
seen. There were senior
Nobody is doing
advocates
this. If
who have
there is
given
a
such kind of an
conversation which is happening in
interviews.
the court,
Please go
that
and
is
look at the
happening between
social
the
media
lawyers and
channels. And not
I
only
haven't had a
that,
chance to speak, so I
seminars
just
are
need
being
to-
conducted to basically spread the reputation of the Supreme Court amongst the lawyers, young lawyers, law students, that this is the Supreme Court,
Can I
which
come
is
in?
not an independent judiciary, because it is not giving judgments in favor of you when it comes to Article 370, when it comes to Ram Temple.
I am saying-
So therefore, it is a Supreme Court which is not independent, because
Arnab,
the
this whole
judgments are not of
this
our liking. And then you
noise
remind the
making
Supreme
by
Court
the
about the
people in
legacy.
power needs to stop right now. whatever the exchanges happen between a lawyer and the judge in the Supreme Court, it is between the lawyer and the judge. See, as soon as you bring the debate onto the public platform where people are going to describe and talk about what has happened in the court,
it is no longer an
up the whole
exchange.
platform. Anybody can say anything.
This is not
Here
an
the
exchange
point
in the
is,
courtroom.
the man
because
who's
you
the
are
Bar
openly
Association
threatening the
president,
judges.
he was the one who broke all protocol. He wrote a letter to the President of India saying that the judgment on the electoral bond, it was wrong. This should be taken back.
Well, that is
the
not
people
the
in this,
protocol.
whoever has given the bonds
adopted a
to be
judicial
protected
remedy.
after the
That's
Supreme
fine.
Court
You
overturned
have not
the
got the
judgment.
remedy in
I
your
am not a
favor,
lawyer
but you
here,
have not
but this is the
criticized the judges.
basic courtesy
After
which
the
I think
electoral bond
went
judgment,
out of the
nobody
door.
criticized
This
the Supreme
opened the
Court.
can of,
Nobody criticized the
whole
Chief
can of
Justice.
worms, where the president of the Bar Association is blaming the Supreme Court judgment and
It
writing
is
to
very
the president of India.
simple. There is a simple playbook at the play.
Opposition is
The
not
court
in
is
power.
independent
Opposition has the
until
courts
it
to go to
rules
when they
in their
think there is a
favor,
case
or
can be
else
made.
everything,
But outside of that, there is
integrity
nothing
of
we can
judges
do.
must be questioned.
And for us to not
This
to
is
go
what
to the
is
court is
happening.
taking away that one last resort we have for going to the public with an open and an even playground. Today, Mr. Harish Salve represents the government in the electoral bond case. He's a brilliant lawyer, no doubt he can represent the government. He can represent a private individual, anyone for that matter. But when he puts his letter out in the public domain and when the Prime Minister retweets it, it is going to be a political matter where the political parties will have an opinion. It's not undermining the Supreme Court in any way.
Of course, it is undermining when you challenge the legacy of the Supreme Court. I
will intervene and say one thing here. I will intervene and say one thing here. I will intervene and say one thing here. Just one point I want to make. One point I want to make. We all agree tonight, right? We all agree tonight about Harish Salve, right? Everyone, even his worst critics, would say that he is the most outstanding jurist in the country today. When he speaks, everyone listens, the court listens. You think we will forget what happened in 2021 when a brilliant, astute and sharp senior advocate like Harish Salve's appointment as amicus curiae in a case where the Supreme Court was talking about taking cognizance of the COVID situation in the whole country was questioned by those like Dushyant Dave who went to say at that point of time all kinds of things? Was it not disgusting how there are certain people who file an application to intervene in the Supreme Court case hearing in the COVID matter just to oppose Harish Salve being amicus curiae and aiding the court? You will say today that it is very good for the country that we have a person like Harish Salve who is representing us in the International Court of Justice in the Kulbhushan Jadhav case. You will say it's excellent that he's representing us globally, but when he becomes amicus curiae in the COVID case, you attack him personally. You think that is not a personal attack? You want me to remind you about it? Exactly. I mean, you have lost all sense of balance. And the question being put today, why is the Prime Minister speaking? I'm saying, why should the Prime Minister not speak? Do you think Prime Minister of the country should be happy at the kind of attacks that the Supreme Court is being made?
He is the head of the executive.
Do you think the Prime Minister of the country should be quiet and mute at the kind of attacks we've seen on the Supreme Court? Terrible what's going on. Terrible.
Attack the Supreme Court of India. He's the one who wrote a letter to the President of India superseding the Supreme Court judgment and saying that the Supreme Court has to be stopped. He's the one. He's sitting right there. He's defending the government. After that, what is the fair? What is the openness out there? He's the one who opened this can of worms.
You
the moment Prime Minister endorsed what Harish Salve and 500 plus other lawyers said, आप लोगों को पेट में दर्द होने लगा. And by the way, let me just tell you,
of course होगा, क्योंकि politics है, हम लोग politics में हैं. Politics में, if we are in politics, we are going to speak up. If the Prime Minister is going to make a political point, he's going to say that the Congress has taken advantage of the situation. When the Congress is not in power in the country, obviously the parties or opposition parties are going to report and rebut that. That is the politics of India. That is where it is. That is what.
Or left dispensations and went on to become either Rajya Sabha members or were elected from Lok Sabha.
So Mr.
and were
Ranjan
also
Gogoi,
High Court
Arnab, let me
judges
remind you,
or
Mr.
Supreme Court
Ranjan
judges.
Gogoi
So
and
next time you talk
three
about
of the
Harish
other
Salve,
judges
I
in
will ask you about
2018
Aftab
went to
Alam.
the press
Next time you
saying
talk
that the
about Harish
appointments of the
Salve,
judges,
I will ask you about
who are hearing the
case.
court
Next
cases
time you talk about
is
Harish
wrong,
Salve,
especially in the Justice
No,
Loya case.
I think I would like to read from the letter. Rohan, I would like to read from the letter. I would like to read from the letter. I would, and I'm getting an extraordinary amount of support for Harish Salve tonight, which only reminds us about the stature of the man. Now, Hitesh Jain and Abhishek and Pankaj will be brought into the debate because they've been rather quiet along with Adish. The letter says, this interest group operates in various ways. They create false narratives of a supposed better past. Oh, times were better earlier. The court situation is terrible now. Golden period of the courts contrasted to the terrible situation now. These are nothing but intentional statements made to sway court decisions and to embarrass the courts for certain political gains. Implication being that if the courts do not give an interim stay in the implementation of the CA, which I think they are good in fact, I don't think that is a matter that should have gone before the courts, because these are matters of policy that the government elected executive of the day has complete control of. My question here is, my question here is that there's an attempt to say, oh, if you do not give us an interim stay, remember, we can put out a lot of podcasts against you. We can put out a lot of articles against you. We can put out a lot of editorials against you. We'll put out articles in websites against you. We'll besmirch you. We will make blasphemous comments against you. We'll put pressure on you. We'll try and tarnish your legacy. At the end of your judicial career, we will make life terrible for you. This is a form of blackmail.
This letter is just rhetoric.
Anyway,
No facts.
Hitesh has written the letter.
No proof.
No
facts, no proof.
They have written the letter.
No cases are
Tell them. Hitesh is responding. Be quiet. Be quiet. Don't be. Louder, Hitesh, louder.
Supreme Court is time and again reminded that if you are not going to grant the relief as we are requesting, it is your legacy at the stake. It means you are not independent. It means the judges are biased.
Let him speak. Don't say who.
Compare yourself to China and Pakistan. This is the kind of attack that is being fed by
Let
this
him
cabal.
speak. Don't intervene now. Hold you back.
Which case?
First thing, they have to listen.
Which case?
I mean, instead
Which
of just
cabal?
shouting,
Who are
they
you
have to see
talking
they have
about?
done enough
Which law?
shouting. They have
1 minute,
undermined
don't repeat.
confidence
Don't
of people
repeat.
is shaken because of
Let
the
him
allegations
speak.
made by them against the
Louder for
judiciary.
Hitesh.
The common man is no longer feeling confident
Please
because of
name
the
a
kind
judgment.
of allegations that have been made. They name call the judges. If they don't get the orders,
Name
then
a
your
judgment.
legacy
Anyway, I
is at
believe.
stake.
Anyway, I am
You
of
have
a
the
view.
courage to name one lawyer?
1 minute, can you be quiet? I'll be shake for a while. I'm holding you back. I am anyway of a view, Hitesh.
You cannot.
Hitesh,
it is
Hitesh
the
also-
institution at its stake.
Yeah, but Hitesh.
Common people still have a faith in the judiciary.
But now
you are
what will
doing
happen,
by making
Hitesh?
reckless
What will happen,
allegations,
Hitesh?
you're tarnishing the reputation
I
of the
don't.
institution.
The difference
1
between the
minute.
lawyer
Will you
and the
not?
layman is
Will you
proof.
stop it now, Abhishek? I'm
The
holding you back.
difference between the lawyer and
Mute
the
him.
layman is
Mute
proof.
him.
There is
That's
no
no. 1 minute. You're wasting my. Not on the windows right now. No, Abhishek, don't try to do this, please. There are other senior panelists on the debate, including the president of the Supreme Court Bar Association, if you must be allowed to speak. Mr. Agarwal, my elementary point to you tonight is this. See, whatever your intentions may have been, Mr. Agarwal, and I know that you're an honorable man and a man of great experience in the bar. However, the negative will be that now the Supreme Court will be in the middle of this controversy non-stop in election season, after election season. Is this a good outcome? Is this a good outcome with this controversy around the Supreme Court all the time?
I will point out that what Mr. Kapil Sibal was referring golden time. I am giving you one example of Justice Barul Islam. He was a judge. He was a member of parliament. He was made the judge of High Court. Then after he retired as Chief Justice of High Court, Guwahati High Court. After retirement, he was appointed Judge of Supreme Court. And thereafter, after retirement as a Judge of Supreme Court, he was, by Congress, he was appointed member of Rajya Sabha. That was the situation. And Justice Ranganath Mishra was the Chief Justice of India. He was also made member of Rajya Sabha from Odisha by Congress party. Not only that, he was appointed the Human Rights Division of AICC chairman immediately after retirement from Chief Justice of India. That was the legacy, that was the golden time. That's why Honorable Prime Minister, what I've seen, he has to also react when such things were being done. So that was a must by
but it's made,
all of
but,
us,
but,
the lawyers.
But with the Prime Minister responding,
with
the Prime Minister, but with the Prime Minister responding, it becomes more political, doesn't it, Pankaj?
So if that was not the golden time, this is also not the golden time. If Congress did something wrong, BJP is doing the same. In last 10 years, we can give you the examples of so many people who have been given what not by BJP from the judiciary. I mean, if Congress has done something wrong, Rangnath Mishra and all that, I don't endorse all those things. But then what BJP is doing? BJP is also doing the same thing.
And if this is a golden time, then this is indeed a golden time when judgments are coming on the basis of the rule of law, not on the basis of any political legacy. But the problem is when the judgments are coming on the basis of rule of law, they are being criticized because the people who criticize from the lens of the politics, whether it is Hindenburg, whether it is Article 370, whether it is Ram Temple, look at the criticism, look at the attacks on the Supreme Court. I will ask you one question, Pankaj. The judgments on the electoral bond, was there a single aspersion cast by any ruling party member on the legacy of the Supreme Court or the judges of the Supreme Court? Did we name call that this is a biased judgment? It's fine. Judgments will come. We win some cases, you lose some cases.
Party could have spoken anything against this.
The judges.
No, in the electoral case, it was completely complied with. You make an argument and you comply, even if you disagree.
Merely because you are not getting the relief
strongest polarization in every sphere of our lives. So now the time to polarize the judicial arena.
Arnab, I need to quickly come in here.
There is nobody. It is in fact the people who are arguing the argument, who are canvassing the argument of legacy. They are politicizing the judiciary.
You are saying, 1 minute, just 1 minute. You are saying there's an attempt to polarize the judicial arena. You are absolutely aware the maximum number of statements making very inappropriate comments on the judiciary have come from those who are anti-government. Maximum number of such comments, repeatedly, publicly.
From ruling dispensation.
Publicly, 1 minute. And he's no longer the law minister. And he's no longer the law minister. And he's no longer the law minister. Does that tell you something? Does that tell you something that he's no longer the law minister? Does it tell you something? Now, Sanju.
BJP needs to have a rebuttal. Arnab, very quickly. Arnab, just to rub salt into the ruling dispensation. Mr. Sharma, you've had your turn. Arnab, just very quickly to rub salt into the wounds of the other side, the cabal. Let me remind them that, they went to the Supreme Court in all of these cases, challenging the validity of PMLA and the powers of the Enforcement Directorate. They lost. They filed case against GST and its validity. They lost. They filed case against CAA. They lost. They filed case against the validity of EVMs. They lost. They filed validity against the UAPA amendment. They lost. They filed validity against Aadhaar. They lost. They filed they questioned the validity of the probe in Pegasus. They lost because the Supreme Court said Pegasus में कोई spy हुई ही नहीं है government द्वारा. They went to court against Ram Mandir. They lost. They went to court against Rafale. They lost. They went to court against Article 370. They lost. They went to court against instant triple talaq. They lost. They went to court against Gujarat riots. They lost. They went to court against Central Vista.
I hope we can put an end to this controversy around the Supreme Court, but I don't see this going away. Whatever is happening right now, it's very unfortunate. I believe that before elections, all that happens is we make the Supreme Court of India the center before and after elections for political issues. The Supreme Courts have to dispense justice. There are too many pending cases. If the time of the court goes endlessly in political issues, political petitions, how can people expect justice for all?